All right. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us once again. We were just remembering before we started that it was back in 2020, way back during the pandemic, when we first sort of began this format of offering Zoom meetings. And that was really helpful to a lot of people. If y'all can remember back when we were in the throes of the pandemic with everybody shut down, trying to figure out what to do. And then we've continued it since then. But Blair and I connected at the beginning of it to kind of partner when I went in as the interim CEO with Urson. We continued that for a while. Bill joined us as well very quickly. And then Sarah came on, and here we are almost 4 years later. We have been doing this collectively. So thank you for so many of you that have been a part of it. I do want to apologize for my appearance today. I just put on a baseball hat and came inside, but you may have seen on the news all the disaster areas in Texas with the tornadoes and high winds. So when I got up this morning, I had neighbors out on my driveway waiting to help me clear debris and trees and everything that are all down on my property here in Plano, Texas. So still can't get the cars out of the garage, but we're getting close. So they're all here trying to help me. I'm like, I got to go do a webinar. So I said, y'all go take a lunch break. I'll do this and then we'll get back after it. So sorry, I didn't put my nice shirt on to be clear.
Hopefully you had no property damage and you still have power. When I think there were like 750,000 people without power somewhere down in Houston or something like that, right? Yeah, pretty bad.
Fortunately, didn't lose any power, but yeah, the tree that I've been working on this morning is about 5 foot around at the bottom. So it was a big loss.
Yeah.
So with that said, we got a great lineup today. We want to share some great news and information that we've been finding and researching with all our panelists. Before we get into the topics, anybody have anything that's just like really at the top of your mind that you want to share with the audience?
Bill, are you muted?
I do. I was.
And I will.
Yeah, I think, Brent, I was involved in show number 1 because we started with Club Solutions all together, and then we went to Ursa, and then we went to SCW, and I think I was in there in the beginning because it was the 3 of us, and we had a guest in the beginning in the 4th spot.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
So I'm going back to show number 1 to confirm that.
All right.
But no, I've been traveling a lot lately, and I've been hitting a lot of clubs. I mean, old clubs that have been around forever that are beautiful. I just was at Hawthorne Farms Club up in Oregon. Been visiting several of my clubs, been visiting a bunch of chain clubs, Crunch, Planet, and a lot of other independents that we've been popping into. Brent, me, and Blair had the pleasure of visiting some clubs just a week ago or so with our Rex group that you lead up. But here's what I'm noticing that's really interesting. And I know we're going to be talking about HVLP and franchising a little bit with Blair, but the franchise clubs seem to be much better at controlling signage. I've got a little OCD. I'm very anal about signage. I've always believed that good design doesn't require a lot of signage. And a lot of the independents still have a problem with handwritten signs, disjointed signage, no font, right, temporary signs instead of permanent, clutter with signage. And that's one thing that the franchises seem to have nailed down a little bit with their franchisees following the templates that are given without adding to it. So my pet peeve and takeaway from just visiting clubs in the last couple of months is keep up with your signage if you're not following a playbook that you bought from someone else.
Yeah, I'll throw something else in there too. Our roundtable met at the Bellevue Club there in Bellevue, Washington, which is just a fabulous club and hotel. Toured that, and then we toured the Pro Club recently by Bay Clubs, and just kudos to those 2 management teams, how they treated us like VIPs and split us up into groups, and gave us kind of an unfettered look at everything they're doing and a lot of the innovation that they've been doing. And 2 great places to visit if you're ever up in the Pacific Northwest. Stay at the hotel at the Bellevue Club. It's a great hotel, and you're a member for the nights you stay there. You're officially a member. That allows you to use the whole facility. So yeah.
Well, I just spent a month in Paris, living in Paris, working in Paris. And my husband and I took out a month membership at a health club there. We went and looked at a few different health clubs. I am shocked at how France is so far behind the USA. There is not the membership that there should be. There are very, very few franchises. There's only really a couple of them out there that are working. And it's the smoking and the, as my 26-year-old son always says, the skinny fat girls, which means that they're thin because they smoke and drink coffee and they don't exercise. I think I don't know. He's got a certain penchant towards athletic women. Can't understand where he gets that.
Yeah, bad sign when there's ashtrays on the treadmills, probably. No, that's a
right.
cup holder, lady.
Yeah, let's jump into our topics. 'Cause
Okay.
we've got some good stuff. And Blair, you're going to lead us off talking about some foot traffic and some research that you've had. So go ahead.
Yeah, so it's probably a pretty good segue talking about Paris to be behind and Bill's coming about franchise locations. So Placer AI, it came out in Athletic News also. They talked about Placer AI tracks phones in and out of spaces, and they do a lot in the fitness space. The summary is year over year visits are way up at clubs, and so they tracked Lifetime, Choose, EOS, Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, Anytime Fitness, 24 Hour Fitness, and Crunch were the locations they looked at. And across the board, every single week in the first quarter, visits were up year over year, with the exception of the week of January 15th, when we had a major freeze across the industry. But the leader in the category was EOS, with visits up 29.7%, followed by Crunch at 25.9%. So I looked at hours year over year, and we're up about 21%. Anytime Fitness was, but they were bottom at up 2%. Here's one most interesting about this, though. So they chart out sort of the real serious user, and they do that by saying people that visit 8 times or more a month, and people that spend 90 minutes or longer. So Lifetime has about 44% of their visits spend 90 minutes or longer. EOS, about 33% of their visits are 90 minutes or longer. Those are kind of the two leaders. And then you have EOS with 26% of those people coming 8 times or more a month, and Lifetime at 30% coming 8 times or more a month. So kind of the more they call that those two out as kind of really attracting the very serious. But look at those, how different those two business models are. And then Anytime Fitness, very, very successful, but they have 20% spending 90 minutes or more, and only 13% coming 8 times or more in a month. So that was some of the biggest takeaways I had from it, and love to get you guys' kind of a take on it. The upside is that they finished the article by saying it looks like the fitness industry is slowing down anytime soon, right? Like it appears to be all upside.
Well,
Yeah, I'll weigh in
part of
on
that
that.
because Lifetime's got a whole lot more to offer than EOS. I mean, from a facility service standpoint, I mean, I love EOS. Big fan of that. My kids are members of the Arizona location. I know you're close and do work with Rich Dremberg, great guy, great operator. But it is what it is with what they offer, and they're doing some really innovative stuff with eGym, but they don't have the breadth of services that a Lifetime has. So, by definition, the consumer might not spend as much time there, right?
Yeah, but what's interesting, because those are the two leaders that have the most people spending 90 minutes or more.
Okay, I see where you're going with it.
Right, and then the two that have the least are Anytime and Planet. I mean, so there's something interesting happening, right? You've got Lifetime and EOS at the top. Choose is right there too, right? For people spending 90 minutes or Crunch is right there too, 90 minutes or more. And then way down at the other end, you have Planet and Anytime spending 90 minutes or more, and people that come 8 times or more. It just seems to be that they're attracting the more serious the more serious workout person.
Yeah, but either that or they have nicer locker rooms and people are actually using them, because nobody uses a locker room at Planet, or frankly, anytime. And so that takes up time. And, you also think about,
That's
do they
valid.
have places to eat or a shake bar or something? It doesn't necessarily mean they're working out more. It means they're utilizing the facility more, which of course would extend their membership anyway, because they're
Yeah, I
more
think-
committed to the facility.
I think that's especially true with Lifetime because, as Bill pointed out, just how many different amenities they have, and you might be with your kids,
Yeah.
and they're swimming and they're doing all kinds of stuff. EOS is a
Yeah.
little bit different in that
Yeah,
category, right?
the manicures. It's all about
Yeah.
the manicures.
Well, the other thing I would add to that, to just based anecdotally on my meetings with my roundtables, is they're pretty well all reporting that usage is up, right? The average attendance from the member is greater than it was pre-pandemic. And of course, part of that is probably because a lot of clubs lost the inactive members during the pandemic. So, just by design, you're going to probably, the people that did remain as a member are going to be more active. And so their usage patterns are up still. And yeah, health clubs are
Yep.
a great start so far this year.
Yep.
All right, Sarah, menopause, and probably good that you're the person to kind of lead the discussion on that first. Go ahead.
And well, Bill
Well, I
wanted
mean,
it, but
only because she's a woman.
yeah,
Right.
not because I'm of age. Actually, I'm probably out of age now. We're going to start with a video. So let's take a look at that. Thank you. That was great. Sean is helping to run the webinar tonight, and Dan created that video for me. I found this topic to be really hot. Yeah, pardon the pun, because at our conferences, we usually run about 6 months to 8 months, 9 months ahead of what really ends up showing up at clubs, because this is what the instructors and trainers want to learn, that they see coming up. And I was shocked at the last 3 conventions we did, DC, California, and just Florida. One of the top 5 sessions out of 200 at the conference that was attended the most was our menopause lectures. Not just one, but we had 2, and we've had multiple people doing workouts on it. So I was like, how I really got motivated by pickleball when Brent brought the pickleball and chicken whole thing up, that I do workshops now and do small group training on pickleball training. Well, I really think we have to look at menopause. It's, I think Bill's going to talk about the aging population, that we're continuing to age and how we need to pay attention to it. But the government is also looking at putting funds in there. And you guys saw that a bill was introduced in 22 to give $100 million on research for menopause. And here I'm kind of pulling the sexist card, so please humor me or ignore me. But the main researchers are men, and the main doctors for years and years were men. So who cares about menopause? It's not anything that affects us. But now that tech is changing and physicians are changing, And there's pharmaceutical drugs from Estella, and even Bayer are coming up with new menopause drugs. And the coolest thing is the National Institute of Health, with the governmental study that it stated women with high and moderate physical activity levels have less severe menopause symptoms compared to inactive women. And that's when I was like, I did a little research, tons of certifications. A friend of mine, Irene McCormick, also has the Menopause Mentor. Very cool. The names of the classes were awesome, because you don't want to call it like Workout with Me Menopause. I mean, nobody, I don't think Blair would show up. So it's
Probably
like
not.
Midlife Makeover, Body Revive, Revival Fitness, Fit Her, Walk This Way. Fit Her is actually, Ann Gilbert just called her studio that. I just like Yoga Yinship. So I just thought this is a great business opportunity for people to look at small group training in this aspect.
And it's definitely an interesting marketing challenge, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, very interesting marketing challenge there. It's interesting. Like your conventions are, how far apart are they?
They're about 1 month apart.
Yeah, so I wanted to call that out in case anybody was thinking these are annual. This is like in the last 3, is what Sarah's saying, in 3 consecutive months.
February,
right?
March, and we
yeah.
just finished our April event, and we're coming up for July in Atlanta. And
Yeah.
it's all about menopause. Well, not all.
Yeah.
And we were talking about hormone replacement therapy. That men are diving into this just as heavily as women.
That's probably a great segue to this next topic too,
Can I
actually.
throw something out there real quick before you move on, Blair? And on menopause, Sarah, it's interesting that only women have an organ that ages so much more rapidly than any other organ compared to men. And the research is showing that the ovaries show signs of aging decades before other tissues. And it has been men doing most of the research, but now there's a lot of female scientists and a lot of male scientists dedicated to this. And there's some interesting things about women who go through menopause later in life tend to live longer than their male siblings. So women that actually go through menopause later in life live longer than their male counterpart siblings. And so some interesting stuff's being done, and I'll share where I'm seeing all that cool research in a little bit later.
Great.
All right. Yeah, some niche offerings, and these are 5 of the kind of interesting offerings that I've seen through various articles and research, and some of it's come from the Global Wellness Institute, and this has been over the last 6 months. What I hope this does for the audience is give them some ideas of what you might do with your club. So number 1, Nestle, as well as some other food manufacturers, but Nestle in particular, is launching a new food line called Vital Pursuit Foods. And guess the audience they're targeting? GLP-1 users. Yes. So they're targeting them and saying, you're interested in weight loss, you need to maintain your muscle mass. Here's some protein packed, prepackaged foods for you. And they're responding to that because they're saying and seeing that about 9 million prescriptions were written for GLP-1 medications in the 4th quarter of 2022. 9 million. That's a big number. So they're thinking it as an opportunity for them. And of course, they're also thinking, boy, this might take a hit on some of their profits because it's an appetite suppressant. I mean, people eat a little bit less. But in our roundtables, and of course, Bill and Blair are on a roundtable with me, and we talked about, this is an opportunity for the health and fitness. So that's number 1. Number 2, transcendental travel. If you haven't heard that word, that's a hot new buzzword. You can throw that out at your next party. Transcendental travel, which basically means wellness travel. And it's a really, hot thing. Let's see, let me throw out one statistic. It's estimated by 2027 that almost 8.3% of all travel and tourism will be around wellness. And at the end of 2024, it's going to cross the $1 trillion mark as far as what people are spending money on. And so the research just shows that people are choosing these sort of wellness destinations, wellness retreats, and they're looking for something deeper than they have before. Not just the spa, not just a relaxation in nature, but they're really looking for maybe even a psychedelic experience as part of that in these destinations. Number 3, active fitness is on its way down, not on its way up. So a lot of the big players in connected fitness that I'll just throw out 3 that we would all recognize: Peloton, Tonal, Mirror. This is from TechCrunch and Crunchbase, and they look at the investments that are around in the health and fitness industry. And they're saying all 3 of those demonstrate that, as everybody predicted during the pandemic, everybody's going to move toward this connected fitness experience and away from gyms and clubs in person. And now that really is kind of coming back full circle. Number 4, I like this one. Sounds like a lot of fun. It's called nighttime wellness. Nighttime wellness just basically means anything after dark that's around wellness. But that would include stargazing, forest bathing in the UK and in other, let's see, that's UK and Ireland. There are 100 new nighttime saunas where they're building these bathhouses and saunas and creating a pub-like experience, but without the alcohol and around wellness. A new bathhouse just opened up in Flatiron in Manhattan, and their sauna accommodates 100 people, and it's extremely popular. So this sort of concept around nighttime wellness is really taking hold. And then the 5th one that I had is just about sleep. Man, there's just all kinds of stuff out there about sleep. There's all kinds of products about it. There's tourism around it. The hotels are trying to make sure you're getting the right kind of sleep. Design trends are being impacted, like things like the smoke alarms that are in all of our ceilings with the red little dot. They're saying you need to get rid of the red dot and put those where they're not in the line of sight. Yeah, so sleep is a big thing. So those are 5 things that I think, as a health and fitness industry, we could look at and say, how can we, tie on to some of those trends that are happening?
Huge convergence of so many trends happening right now. There's we can't even see the opportunities that are going to be out there as these different trends sort of hit a nexus of each other. And it's just huge opportunity if you can be entrepreneurial enough to take advantage of it. Yeah.
Well, and Bill, your topic about the Buck Institute's a great segue from that.
Yeah, I mean, the Buck Institute is pretty amazing place. I've had the benefit of being there with the scientists twice now. And my partner in active wellness, Jill Kenny, was the chairman of their board and a board member. And so she really has us plugged into what's going on over there with the Buck Institute. It's in Northern Virginia, buckinstitute.org. If you're not tracking this and some of the other longevity sources of information, you're missing a big opportunity. They've got a component on there called News You Can Use, and it goes into reinforcing data on all kinds of things. I think there's 14 or 15 different labs, and I think they have 6 or so commercial products that have come out of that. It's obviously a nonprofit with grant money and private donations. But some of the scientists that were heavily involved in mapping the genome are now mapping the phenome. And the Buck Institute is doing a venture with Phenome Health. And what the Phenome Health is, what is a phenome, right? Phenome is, it's the complete characteristics that signify expression of the whole genome, including environmental, including all of the different aspects. And the Buck's going to do a 10-year, million-person study on the genome phenome study is what it's called. And it's absolutely amazing. I saw some of the research they were doing with mice. They take 2 mice and they were doing gene therapy. They were from the same litter, genetically, the same. And after the therapy and treatments, one mouse looked like it was young and adolescent and energetic. One mouse looked like it was, elderly. And through this manipulation or augmentation of some of the things that they were doing research with. And, which mouse would you want to be, right? And so, but Sarah, One of those studies is on menopause and the inequality of female reproductive health. And so they've got a whole hub that they're working on with research and usable information on that. They just did a paper on sauna and cold plunge therapy and the benefits of it and the effects of sauna compared to physical activity. But giving us sound research to promote our offerings instead of just saying, hey, contrast therapy is great or this is good. They're diving in. And so the buckinstitute.org, they're going to be looking for participants for this 1 million person study. It's absolutely just earth shattering what they're working on. I mean, it goes on and on with regard to the components. And just to give you a snapshot of the components that they're looking at in this study: genetics, social determinants of health, so social aspects, how your electronic health records are managing your health, self-tracking, the microbiome, brain, blood, and then they're also working on biological age. One of the problems with real age, bio age, true age, there's no standard on what these devices and tests do. So the Buck's working on standardizing that and going, hey, how do we create a national standard on bio age to where we can really compare the bio age of an individual compared to their physical condition? Because right now, whichever one you test, you get a different age, right? Depending on the criteria they pick. So they're trying to normalize that from a medical perspective. But the Buck Institute for Aging Research, unbelievable resource and unbelievable about what you're going to see in the future going on. And their deal's not lifespan, it's health span. They're not looking to extend the number of years people live. They're looking to extend the quality of the years. The maximum people live, they've determined the most max probable is around 114.6 or 7 years for a female, and 6 or 7 months later for a male, or younger for a male. So 114, 115 is kind of what they think is the expiration date on a human body under current circumstances without replacing parts, right? So it's about health span, not lifespan. But unbelievable. If you're in this industry and you're paying attention to recovery, restore, longevity, great resource for you. And they're doing some amazing work that's going to affect our industry on exercise and the phenome.
And it's going to speed up dramatically. And so 3 things that happen. You mentioned decoding the human genome took years, but when they hit it, it really accelerated over about a 7-year period when they decoded the human genome. That was like step 1. Step 2 is the speed of computing. We haven't even got to quantum computing yet, which is around the corner, which if you understand how computing ones and zeros work, I make like I really freaking know, but how ones and zeros work compared to quantum computing that would use like more like a multifaceted dice, right? So that speed. The third thing is private equity money. And I'll bet if we went to that Buck Institute and you looked at the donors there, I'm going to guess, I haven't done it, but I would bet that there's a lot of maybe private equity moguls that are like donating money there, because that's just going to speed up where they're going to invest. That's a lot of, it's going to go faster and faster.
On this initiative, you got Google,
okay.
You got Brain HQ, you got Tech Synicity, you got ISB, you got Garden Research. I mean, you're going to have all the main players involved in this.
Yeah, I feel like this has been kind of a theme for a year for us, and I think it's fair. I think we should stay. I mean, I think that is important. Just trying to emphasize the speed at which wellness, health, fitness, how much faster it's being adopted, the innovations that are out there. I wanted to readdress the GLP-1 thing again today, just so that we can see just how fast this is going. Costco announced their GLP-1 program. $179 a month is about the consulting. It's not about the prescription. It's consulting. And then if somebody is, if it's appropriate to give a prescription, they do, but the cost is still between $900 and $1,600 a month. But the fact that Costco has jumped, you don't think Costco is going to figure out how to drive prices down. That's going to happen. Hims and Hers, publicly traded, their stock shot 27%. I think you're on mute, Bill.
Yeah, one last thing.
They just made this announcement that they are now using a compounding pharmacy, and they think that they will have the cost injections at $199 a month. So we mentioned how many prescriptions there were. So most of them are happening through Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. So Eli Lilly just recently announced they're spending $5.3 billion more in Lebanon, Indiana, to tool up how fast they can make GLP-1s, because there is a major shortage coming. And if there's a major shortage coming now they're going to start to spin up new lines of manufacturing, and a few new things out there about some of the GLP-1s, some of the unintended consequences that they're still trying to figure out. Things like, working as a bit of an antidepressant, an anti-inflammatory. So I wanted to readdress this because, whatever you think about it, people need our help on this one. They really need our help, and I think we should be stepping up. This is just a massive tidal wave coming.
Yeah,
Well,
two things I wanted to share. Again, that's coming out of the roundtable discussions about this very thing. To view it as an opportunity in our health clubs would be number one point I would make. Number two, the people that are taking these types of drugs are not exclusively the morbidly obese or the severely overweight. There are a lot of people that are within 15, 20 pounds of where they want to be that are on it, right? The tennis players, the pickleball players, people that are doing it, more for vanity reasons, perhaps, which is fine. But let's just not pretend that it's only for the really extremely overweight individuals. People in our clubs are really seeing it as a viable alternative for them to lose a few pounds and then maybe cycle back off of it, et cetera.
But wouldn't you agree that the ones that need our help the most are the ones that are the most obese, right? The ones that are really, really taking,
Blair, you and I were talking. I was at a bat mitzvah this weekend, and there's 10 people at the table, and 2 people were on GLP, my cousins. I'm like, what are you doing? How'd you get it? And 2 of them got it through their insurance company, covered it, but the other cousin couldn't get it covered yet. They denied it. So more and more insurance companies are beginning to cover it because it prevents greater illness down the road. And unfortunately, the people that were taking it were morbidly obese, a couple of cousins. And I was shocked. You think you read about this in a magazine, you don't sit across at a dinner table.
Well, yeah. I got to jump in here. I'm going to jump in here because you guys know I feel really strongly about this. We got to be careful about coming off as promoting it as a drug, as an abused drug for people that don't need it in our protocols and how we message ourselves. If you're need to lose 15, 20 pounds and you get on it, odds are it's going to do more harm than good with regard to, I was talking to somebody just a little bit ago and they were on it for a while. And then when they got off it, they started gaining weight back and they were pissed. And the doctor says, well, you got to keep going on it or we got to do something completely different. And so that person got on a natural routine of supplements and different things that helped her maintain the weight that she wanted to maintain. But it's being abused by people that don't need it. And we can't act like we're playing a role in supporting or endorsing that. It's a miracle drug for those that need it, but it's being abused as a short-term fix and a magic pill. And we just got to be careful with that. You lose weight too fast, you lose your collagen, you lose elasticity in your skin. It doesn't matter how you lose weight too fast. When you lose it too fast, you lose skin, and then you start doing fillers, and then you get hooked into that whole thing, and then it's a cycle of maintaining. And we just have to be really sure that we're doing it the right way for the right participants, and we're educating people on the perils when they don't really need it.
Yeah, before we jump to you, Sarah, and I know we're out of time on this, I do want to follow up on Bill's comments and just add to that I think we need to be sensitive to all sides of this, because there are a lot of our colleagues in this industry that are on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
That doesn't make it ideal.
No,
but I also don't feel like it's a tightrope to walk, right? Like it's really, I think we're in an ideal position to focus on the people that are really obese, and all of us.
No, but Blair, if you don't think there's some club operators out there that are going to maximize the money opportunity, if you don't think there's some club operators that aren't IHRSA or Health and Fitness Association type clubs, and there are going to be a few bad eggs out there that just want to make a buck.
Yeah, but I look at my cousins. He went on it in October. He's lost 35 pounds. It's now the end of May. He lost a little less than 2 pounds a week. He's combining it with exercise. He's under a physician's, monitoring him. That's the perfect person.
Perfect.
I hear what
Perfect.
you're saying, Bill, but you walk around America, there's a lot of obesity going on, and we're going to end up paying, and there's no way any of them are going to live till 114 years old.
No, and we got to figure out how to get them in our doors, because we haven't done a great job of getting the obese in our doors.
You're right. You're right. There's a wonderful woman, Lacey Green, that does workouts for larger individuals. And I was actually thinking of going into talking about that. All right, I'm going to talk about the FTC ruling. The FTC is the Federal Trade Commission final rule banning non-competes. Now, this is 3 months away. That's 12 weeks. That's 90 days away. September 4th is when it's going to come into play, or so they think it's going to come into play. And this is kind of scary because we're talking about our gym. We spend money training our instructors or certifying our personal trainers or educating our front desk staff, our accounting departments, et cetera. And we want to make sure that we have a non-compete, that if they leave us, they don't take our information with them and open up their own facility. Well, the whole idea is, I think this is a reaction to the pandemic where we want to stimulate our economy. We want creative ideas. We want more job openings for people. So the government has gone in and said the compete. So if you look on the banning for non-competes, the FTC estimates that banning non-competes will mean more innovation, more startups, and higher earnings. So that's higher earnings, $525 more per year, more startups, 2.7% increase. That's about 8,500 new businesses, and more innovation. That's about 17 to 29,000 more patents a year. So we want to stimulate our economy. But this is scary if we're a business owner and we want non-competes. But I don't want you guys to worry out there. I think you all know I'm a lawyer, so I kind of look at this stuff all the time. The reason you don't have to worry is because we have NDAs, and that's where people cannot take in your trade secrets and travel it on. And also these non-competes that we're doing away with, we can keep non-competes for our C-suite levels, which means we can keep it for the individuals that are the CEOs, the CFOs, et cetera. So we've got these trade protections, these non-disclosure agreements, meaning if, I'm giving you my trade secret, you can't carry it on, but yeah, you can go and get a job right away somewhere else after we let you go. The one thing that's interesting is these non-competes can stay in place if someone continues to work for you. So let's say they're working for you, and then they're gonna open up their own facility, and they're going to continue working for you, or they're also going to work for your competitor. The non-competes stay in effect. So if you want them only working for you and you're paying for their training and you're giving them enough hours per week that they can make a living, the non-competes can stay. So it's only when they leave. Yep.
In other words, that's more of an exclusivity agreement. You can only work exclusively for us and not for our competitor. That stays legal. Sarah, didn't I understand that like it's for salaries above 151,960, some weird number? Yes. If you have a non-compete in place today, you can keep it, but you can't do new ones, even at that C level.
Right.
I think, right.
And which kind of area, it's 100. If you're making over $151,164 a year. And I tried to look up, where did they get that number? But the other thing is, it doesn't apply for not-for-profits. So you can have a non-compete if you're working for a YMCA. So yeah, that's fair. It's just because the Federal Trade Commission can't pierce that veil of the non.
They have no oversight there. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Well, I thought that was kind of cool. What I want you guys to think about or share with me, what do you think about non-competes? Do you think it's worthwhile? Is it going to keep staff? Is it going to turn people away? Is it going to make them more loyal?
I'll tell you two things. We have a friend, Blair, Brent, and I have a friend who fought 2 of them and lost both of them and paid a lot of fees. In California, they're pretty irrelevant. Okay. Non-compete is completely different from a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. 2 separate documents, 2 separate agreements, right? One, we're not going to share each other's information if it's mutual or if it's one-sided, same thing. So 2 separate things. California has never recognized them very strongly. And typically C-suite gets them because they have an incentive to get it. You'll get an extra severance pay if you agree not to compete for a certain period of time. So typically there's an incentive. When there's an incentive not to compete, they tend to be more favorable with regard to allowing those versus when I just am going to require you not to compete, but I'm not going to give you a financial incentive for that. The courts tend to not want to take an individual's livelihood away. And I'm completely okay with that. I think that non-competes, not really for them. If I can't, keep you as an employee, and I don't want to force you to stay. I want you gone. And you have every right to compete with me in a fair market. Now I don't want you taking my customers, but if a personal trainer, he has a relationship with them. I follow my hairstylist around to different salons when she leaves and goes to a new place. All right. So I'm the customer that I'm more loyal to my particular stylist than I am the salon itself. Okay. Well, a lot of our training clients, they have a personal, intimate relationship, and I don't mean that inappropriately, but they have a close relationship. And so is it fair that I can't go train with the person that you've encouraged me to spend money with in your organization, and they leave and I have a relationship with them that you fostered, and now you want me to break up with them? I don't know if that's really fair. So I tend to be on the, hey, if I'm competing against you and I want to hire some of your employees, I promise you I won't take the happy ones. Keep your people happy and it's not an issue.
Yeah, I do think that, like, on the personal training thing, it is one thing for the member to decide to leave and follow the trainer. It's another thing for the trainer to take contact information with them and then contact your members. Right.
Well, that's an NDA.
That's right.
I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't Bill, just don't pay any attention to California and the law. It's a different planet.
No, but I'm just saying,
but I do want to, I point
they
this
are
out.
leading-
When
they
Bill
are
said we
leading
have a
indicator
friend,
of what's coming though on employment law.
when Bill said we have a friend that challenged it twice and lost both, it wasn't in California.
Right.
It was in a southern state. Yeah. It was, yeah.
And he regrets the fight because of the
Right.
lawyer expenses that he.
Oh, well, that's one of the problems. The employees and employers litigation is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You should never pursue litigation. You should settle right away with any type of situation, HR or otherwise.
All right.
Sounds like an
I
attorney.
don't practice.
Okay, on to something maybe a little more positive is the launching of some of these, what they're calling longevity memberships. Maybe you may have seen it in the news. Equinox is launching. Hasn't happened yet, but they're launching it. And interesting, they're launching it at their clubs in New York and Texas, which seems strange to me, but they're doing that this summer, and it's membership to help you with your longevity. It's $3,000 a month. So multiply that out, $3,000 a month, just a little under $40,000 a year they're charging for this membership. Well, what do you get for the membership? Well, in concept, it's intended to provide you with a team of health professionals that are going to help you perform and reach your optimum physical ability. So, they're going to have biologists, they're going to include psychology, of course, nutrition, sleep, hydration, exercise. They're going to measure your hormones. They're going to do blood testing. And they're going to look at your environment that you work in and that you live in, take all those factors together, put a team of health professionals around you to help not only assess you, but give you recommendations and help you stay on track. So they're describing it, in the media, something like a lot of professional athletes have. They have this team of people that help them be their best so that they can perform at the highest level. And they're taking that concept obviously to the public, and it's all yours for about $3,000 a month for those audience. So we'll see how that goes. Lifetime, I can't remember what the name of the Lifetimes was. Do any of y'all remember what Lifetimes was? They've done something somewhat similar.
I thought it
I
was,
don't remember.
I thought it was something with a V in the vitality kind of arena. I don't remember though.
Yeah.
No.
Well, the point, I guess, is that just, longevity membership, they feel like there are people out there that are willing to pay that amount. And so we'll see how that plays out. It's very interesting. And I think there is a section of our society that obviously has the money and probably the desire to do whatever they can to increase that longevity. And to Bill's point earlier, it's, longevity is a little bit of a misnomer because the people are doing it to really improve the quality of their life, not necessarily the length of their life. So
Yeah,
I
they
think
partnered. I
calling
forget.
it
I forget who they
Myora.
part.
Myora, M-I-O-R-A.
that's right.
Nothing
Sarah.
like vitality.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I was wrong.
Equinox. I forget who they partnered with, but it's a new. I don't know if they're a startup, but they measure 100 biomarkers. All,
Oh, you're cutting it out on us a little bit, Blair.
one correction there. What? Oh, I'm sorry. They're doing. They're measuring biomarkers as well in this.
Yeah.
And then one other correction on it, Brent, the 3,000 a month doesn't include membership.
Oh,
Membership is on top of it, right? So that's
for the
how you get to
program.
it gets to 40,000 with the
Your point.
with the membership. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because it's like a lot of, actually some people I know are doing concierge physicians. So whenever anything comes up, it's like between $20,000 and $30,000 a year that you can immediately reach out to this physician for help. So $36,000 a year, and you get a physician, you get all these additional services. I thought it included some amount of training, but Blair, you're saying that it doesn't include membership?
No, it includes training. 3
Yeah.
1-hour personal training sessions a week for the whole year, but it doesn't include membership. That 3,000. You got to buy the membership on top
what
of
do
that,
you
whether
do?
you want,
Work out in the
single club
parking lot?
access or all club access is really what you're. But I'm saying that the 3,000 does not include the membership dues.
Right.
There's something in there, Brent, on this whole thing that you're talking about, because we're seeing longevity clinics come up, right? We're seeing this separate category, if you will. I was one of the early adopters for a company called One Medical when they were kind of I don't want to say this in a negative way, a lightweight, consumer-friendly concierge medicine service, okay? They were only $100 a month, not $3,000 a year, and you got same-day appointments, worked with all the different insurance. It was a really good thing. And they were still working out the model in San Francisco at the time. And they've evolved and evolved and evolved. Well, now you guys know Amazon owns them. And Amazon's offering a $99, membership or $99 off, on a $100 a month membership. So Amazon's really heavily vested in this One Medical model and almost making it a complimentary service to Amazon Prime members and so forth. And then Walmart's got the in-store clinics now. And so we saw a lot of retail medicine, and then we saw it contract a little bit right before COVID and during COVID. And now we're starting to see it emerge again with these in-store clinics. And so the amount of money going into personalized medicine, AI with medicine, and then these clinics and services, is pretty remarkable. And consumers that they're targeting in a lot of these cases are not insurance payers. They're out-of-pocket cash pay. And, there's good and bad to that, right? From a business model, it's really attractive. But from a exclusivity equity model, it again is catering toward the upper income levels to get the highest level of medical care, so there's going to be even still more disparity in medical care based on wealth. But what's going on right now in Amazon, Walmart, all of them, is, to your point, is a whole nother sector people paying, I'm still amazed that people will pay just to go to have a sauna. We took our saunas for granted for years. Now you got Sweat House and all these guys killing it in these segmented niche products.
Yep.
Just keeps getting more specialized.
One more thing on that membership that Equinox is doing. The value in that membership has a lot to do with PR. They have gotten a massive amount of PR in a way that supports the brand that they want to project.
Yep, that's right.
If you start watching Formula One and a Mercedes wins, that impacts how you think about the Mercedes. So if you think you want to be part of that very elite type club, this supports that, and it pulls maybe more people in that are looking for that type of club. I think they did a brilliant job with their PR. They're really good with their PR stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. All right, Bill, wrap us up here.
Yeah, we've got this last topic that I want to throw out there, and I think I listed it as courtesy, cleanliness, and compassion. And it was basically just a catch-all for, what did we learn during COVID that we don't want to forget? And a lot of times when you go through something and you get out of it, you kind of go back to your old patterns, okay? Just human nature a little bit. And there's a lot about COVID that I want to forget and move on from. But as we're getting around that and past that, with Blair's great data on HVLP sector and lifetime usage, participation, all these increases, it is getting better and better. And it is getting back normalized to the business cycle of our clubs. And a lot of clubs are doing better than pre-COVID in lots of ways. So as we get out of this and get this in the rearview mirror further and keep our growth and innovation going with all the new stuff, there's a couple things I wanted to remind us about to keep our eye on. And I'll go through these quickly, and then I want to get your ideas because there's probably more than the ones I talk about. I put courtesy first. My buddy, Chris Stevenson and Marissa Hoff, I think Sarah, I think you sent me this article from the Empower Group, Chris's consulting company, that they did on selfies and members getting in the way, videoing, and influencers using your facilities to promote their own brands with your space. Just like in COVID with personal space, having the people that are in your clubs using your brand for their own personal gain, being aware of how that affects other members, being aware of that, how it affects your brand, and paying attention to that and not letting it just go sideways anyway. I recommend everybody have selfie walls or selfie spaces in their clubs, places where you can do photo shoots with your branding that you can get promotional social media that are attractive for people. And, 2 would be ideal in my mind, but at least 1, depending on the size of your facility. So, but paying attention to member behaviors, courtesy wise, with the cameras, with the video, with people taking up space to do their photo shoots. That's 1. Then I say cleanliness. Sarah sent me another great article from the CDC news alert about a micro needling salon. For those of you that know micro needling, it's tons of little needles in your face to tighten up your face and collagen and make you look much better. I've done it once. It didn't have a great effect. But people swear by it, and I'll probably try it again at some point, maybe not right now after this article. But there was an HIV transmission by this salon, and they noted, I think, 4 cases or so that were So that doesn't apply to most of us. But what does apply is the perception of press about those kinds of things and maintaining our levels of cleanliness. We might not have to be extreme with the electrostatic spraying, every day in front of the members so they see it, but we need to still maintain a high level of cleanliness and not revert back to what members might perceive as they've stopped caring about my welfare. And then the last thing is a major plug and thing about mental wellness. And I discern mental wellness from mental health. I think we're all in the mental wellness business. We may or may not be in the mental health business to stay in our lane with regard to psychology, psychiatry, and drugs and therapy, but we're all in the mental wellness business. And so the John Brick Foundation .org, Lynn and Victor Brick, they do a lot on this mental health. They're in the mental health space, right? But they've created a mental wellness association.org, mental wellness association.org. Maybe we can put that in the chat box. And they've created a certification for employees, staff members that can go through and learn how to pick up and be aware of people that are struggling with their mental wellness. And, it doesn't have to be just personal trainers and group fitness instructors and managers. it can be front desk people. Active Wellness, we're going to put a lot of our staff through this program. And you know, because the more tuned in we stay on people's stress level, anxiety, and mental wellness, the better we will be at providing that place for them. And I want us to keep in mind what was really important during COVID was people's mental well-being in addition to their physical state. So, John, Lynn Brick, thank you for what you're doing. And hopefully you guys check out the Mental Wellness Association.org and do some certifications for your staff and help them raise the flag on the mission of mental health and mental wellness, and we do our part. So those are kind of three things from COVID that I just want to make sure we keep in mind: courtesy, cleanliness, and mental wellness as we get it further in our rearview mirror. What do you guys think?
Well, I'll say first that several years ago, and I love Victor and Lynn Brick. I did a lot of work with them as well. I got it certified, if you want to call it that, certified, trained in mental health well-being. And it was great for me. It definitely opened my eyes to a lot more about the spectrum of mental well-being. I think in the past, you know, not just because of my age, but I just think the paradigm I grew up in was if you had mental health issues, I always envisioned it way on the far right end of that spectrum. And there's a really broad spectrum of mental well-being that we should all be just much more cognizant of and compassionate about people that are, you know, dealing with depression that may come and go, anxiety, things like that. So I'd highly encourage it. And the Bricks have done a great job pulling this together.
Yeah, they have. Yep.
Well, awesome. You know, I go through a real quick recap and then we might want to share some news. Foot traffic usage is up in lots of major groups, and we're seeing that around the country with our Rex Roundtable groups as well. It seems to be not just one-offs, but a trend that's happening, that we're getting our members back and we're getting usage up. Menopause, hot business opportunity, a lot to learn, and a lot that we need to be aware of with regard to the inequity with regard to female health. Niche offerings for creative wellness. Brent was talking about that in detail. Some really cool stuff happening out there that we can play a role in or be aware of. Just like when all the studios popped up for the multi-purpose clubs, and they were thinking through, well, I have that. Well, you know, we have saunas, we have steam, we have whirlpools, we have cold plunges in some cases, and we could do a lot of these other things that people are being creative about in what's called the longevity or creative wellness space. I hit on the Buck Institute, amazing educational resource, because you can use their data to back up the services we provide. It's a great reinforcement. It's a great credibility. It's great information to use with regard to your programming to back it up with scientific knowledge and your own personal learning. The Costco GLP play, really, really interesting. I agree with Blair. I think the prices are going to come down. The ban on employer non-competes. Sarah's always keeping us up on legislative and legal issues that surround the industry. And that's something to pay close attention to make sure that you're aware of the circumstances and the risk you have, as well as what your employees' rights may be. Longevity membership. Brent went into some good stuff there with regard to what people are doing on that front, and that's a whole nother space. You know, $3,000 without the membership. You know, on was it lifetime model we were talking about on that? That's
Equinox, yeah.
Equinox. That's wild. And I shared a little bit just now that we don't need to repeat because it was very recent. So that's kind of the recap. And then Brent, you want to share the news of what we're working here together and apart?
Yeah, I think as we start off the show today, I mentioned that we'd started this way back in 2020, and my memory must have been bad, leaving my good buddy Bill out. But Bill, Blair, and I, you know, sort of started it in a different version. We were having guests come in and join us over time, and then Sarah, I think, came in as a guest first, and then we said, "Oh man, we need to get her really involved." And SCW was a great marriage for us. But collectively, we've kind of decided that probably it's run its course in its current format, the way it's being presented, and the attendance, you know, we want to be high and we want people to really get something out of it. So with that said, this is the last episode of Talks and Takes in its current format with its current panelist. Sarah and SCW for sure are going to continue on with the webinar, and they're in the throes of getting the exact dates for that out there. So look for that. And then Bill, Blair, and I are going to do something. We don't know what yet, but keep watching your email and your social media channels to see what's going to be happening there. But
We have some good, we have some good ideas of what we're doing.
we do have some good ideas about what we're doing.
We haven't decided if we're going to continue under the banner Talks and Takes or new names, and both of us are going to have new names, but Sarah's going to have a unique format and we're going to have guests rotating on our format. And I think she's thinking the same thing. And we're just excited about, you know, adding more resources there in the industry together collaboratively, but doing separate things. And Sarah, I'm gonna give you the last word on what you're doing because you're most organized and all set to go on your stuff. So why don't you close this up?
My team has loved doing this. We worked with ABC for quite some time. They were a wonderful sponsor. We're going to be working with Club Automation and Daxco. And we're going to be doing, it's called It's None of Your Business. And the first one is Thursday, June 27th. So you guys look for that. And these lovely gentlemen are hopefully going to be guests. And I just really want to thank you all. And more than anything, I want to thank our team. Sean Sennigan and Carter Anderson really worked quite hard, and Dan Gallon did some amazing videos. So thank you all. And this has been wonderful. It's like 3 men and a lady. It's been fabulous.
Well, I want to thank
A
you,
little scary at times, I must say. But
I want to thank you, Sarah, and your team for making these last 3 shows really spectacular and wonderful, and the hard work that goes into it, and all your time as a panelist on these 3 middle-aged boys program that we've been running for so long, adding so much value to it. So thank you and your team for all you do.
Yeah, and don't forget all of Sarah's videos. Where would we be without the videos?
Well, I also speak a lot, and I speak regularly for Sarah on the SCW circuit, and I really enjoy working with Sarah and have a lot of respect for her. She's our good friend and a respected colleague.
it's been
All right.
wonderful.
Thanks
Bye,
again.
everybody.
everyone. Thanks for your support and attendance. We'll see you down the road.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
All right.